welcome back to the progression of this build in all-day RC on this Traxxas X-maxx green theme that we're calling the Hulk Maxx. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe, hit that notification button. You'll get notifications then of all my future videos. Go back through if you want. You know, I've got plenty of videos in the past, tutorials on this car and others. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the steering assembly. So I've got some nice Integy or Integy parts. So we've got this billet machined alloy servo horn. Now, because it's going on a Traxxas servo, Traxxas servos are a 25 tooth horn. We've got the billet machined bell crank, which is nice. These are all matching the green on the A-arms. Okay, we've then got our steering bell crank assembly. So these are all the moving parts for the steering. And then to finish it off, we have a Traxxas 2085X. This is the high torque metal geared servo with the heavy duty servo saver that I'll be installing as well. Okay, so first things first. So this is the stage we're at on the chuck. But if you remember on one of the previous videos, I only held the front together with 2 bolts for this very reason, because we now need to separate the chassis in order to get the steering servo fitted. Okay, so when I now go to detach this, keep my hand underneath to hold that centre shaft. So that's the whole front of the truck separated, and then out comes the centre shaft along with the little union, and we are left at this stage. Okay, now you can still utilise the stand. As you see, it sits securely front and rear, but what we do need to do is flip the truck over like so. And I'm just going to remove this bottom skid plate here. Okay, so that's the skid plate off. We'll go ahead and open up our servo. Okay, one thing that's nice about this Traxxas servo is it comes with this metal link to replace the plastic one, which is necessary. Okay, so the cable for the servo goes through this little slot in the chassis and down there. Should just clip into place nicely, like so. Now to secure this in, it uses these flat-headed screws. You see they've almost got like a big, almost like a washer on the top. So it takes 3 of them. Got my tool. So these are a 2.5mm Allen spot on the top, and all you do is you utilise the same ones that you used when you had the stock steering servo in. Okay, so some of the benefits of this servo are it's high torque and it's metal geared. Well, yes, metal gears are obviously a massive benefit when you're putting high torque through. You don't want weak plastic gears. Now there's another big benefit with this servo, and that's that you can up the voltage and run it on a full 7.4 volt supply. So when you're using the Hobby Wing ESCs, a Max 6 or a Max 5 for instance, and the BSC in there, you can actually program the BEC to kick 7.4 volts into the servo at up to 20 amps, which is quite significant, and it makes this servo quite responsive and quite fast. If you run it with the stock speed controller, then you won't be able to get the full potential out of the steering servo, You'll still notice a difference between this and the stock one, but it won't be quite to the same extent. Okay. So once we've now got this tightened up, the next thing you're going to need to do is plug it into your receiver and apply some power to it. Now the reason that you do this is that you need to centre the servo before attaching the servo horn and carrying on any further. If you put the servo horn on now and the servo isn't centred, it won't allow you to then centre it in the future. Okay, so that's nice and tight. So we'll flip back over. You can now see where this steering cable is coming up through. I'll pause it there. I'll temporarily wire up some electronics and I'll go through centering the servo. Okay, so I've just temporarily laid the batteries in, temporarily got the ESC hooked up and my receiver. Got the transmitter powered on. Go ahead now and I'm going to power up the ESC. You don't need the motor plugged in. It won't do its recognising beeps, and it won't, it'll flash red as a fault because it hasn't got the motor, but it doesn't affect the steering. So you can hear, got the steering set up in there. So I'm going to go through my menu. This will obviously be different for everybody else. Some people have trimmers, things like that. So sub trim, channel 1. All I want to make sure is, which I was, I'm in the centre. Save that. I now know that where that steering servo is, it's in the centre. Now one thing that I would recommend, guys, is when we put this servo horn on, be careful. Now it's centred, sometimes if you now power this off, it moves slightly. So I recommend getting this in place with the power on. Now that doesn't mean that you have to screw it up. All it simply means is that we're going to put the actual horn in place. So, like so. Let me just check. So we've got our full movement left and right there. So I can now go ahead and power this off. You just want to hold the horn when you nip that last bit up, because you don't want to be moving that by hand too much, because you can cause damage to it. Okay, so now I'm at this stage, I can now pull my electronics out and put them safely to one side, because we don't want things getting damaged unnecessarily whilst we're working on it. So out all that comes. Okay, now at this stage, there's a bearing that goes on the front here. So I'm using these Avid yellow seal bearings. Now I'm going to put the centre shaft back in, like so. And here comes the slightly fiddly bit sometimes. Can be getting this assembly back in. So it's just a case of being gentle and taking your time. And if it doesn't line up straight away, you just turn the axles, which will turn the diff. There we are. Now, so what this has done is, this is going to be really hard to see on camera, but this bearing needs to sit in this front part of the chassis. This is, I normally would do this vertically, but again, because I'm trying to film it, I want to show you guys what's going on. I'm trying to do it horizontally, so up in there, like so. Now we're at this stage. I can get my bolts back in here to hold this together. Okay, that is in that chassis there, held securely together and our steering servo installed. So the next thing we can look at doing is getting the actual steering assembly itself sat in the truck. Okay guys, so the bell crank assembly. I've had to go away and have a little tinker with this. It's a bit disappointing. So this is the assembled finished product. Now you've got these shouldered screws. Intergy didn't supply them in the kit, so I've had to disassemble another steering assembly from another vehicle in order to put this together. They also didn't include any bearings whatsoever, so I've had to take them out of another vehicle until I get them replaced. So it's a little bit disappointing. This is expensive. These 3 bits of metal are $60. Plus, by the time I get them shipped and pay import duties to the UK, I'm actually getting close to $100. Now, the Mad Max steering assemblies that I use in my other cars, same price, but they come with absolutely everything you need. So far, this is disappointing. The only reason that I've gone for Integrity for this is for the colour match. So, just so you know guys, that's something to bear in mind in the future. Okay, so now it's assembled. We look at trying to get it dropped into place. Can be a little bit fiddly sometimes. Okay, so that side should slide over that horn, and then this side slide onto a plastic part on the chassis, like so. So now that's in. I mean, that is a nice fit. Now that's in, but it shouldn't have been like that in the first place. You shouldn't have to, when you're paying that sort of money for things, that should come as a complete assembled thing ready to go. You know, so for you guys that are building X-maxxes like this, but you're building them rather than buying one initially, that's something to bear in mind, because you could end up getting caught out with that and not having the parts. Luckily, I've managed to take them out of another car. If I wasn't able to do that, I'd now be sat here waiting for more parts to come, and that would delay this project even longer, which isn't good. Okay, that's in there. And I just need to get one more bolt to get that attached through there, which is going to be an M3 as well. Like I say, I like to use cap heads wherever possible. Yep, right, so that is right. It's a little bit fiddly. Okay, that's all nice and solid. That's not going anywhere. Now we can get the bell crank cover that goes on the top. And here. Again, very nice, very nicely machined part. Intergy, when they do get it right, do some very nice parts. Okay, so it's coming in. And down, so it's going to hold that bearing in place. It's going to stop that horn from coming out. And so it's going to clamp part of the chassis together. Now I haven't put any bolts in that yet, and that is really nice and solid. Okay, let's go ahead. It's nice now, it's a nice green theme starting to really sort of come out. So we're going to go ahead now, and what I'll do is I'll get the electronics back in temporarily again, just to show you the steering functioning. So I've got my lipos, got my speed control, in there like so. Then fit the receiver, and then I just need power from the ESC. Okay, so power that up, turn on my transmitter. See, that's moving nicely. Now, so what we can now do is look at whether or not it's hitting, which it's not. If it was travelling too far, then I'd be looking to set the endpoints and limit them back, stop that from happening. Right, okay, so that's the end of installing this steering. I know I haven't put the toe links in at this stage, but that's because I need access into here a little bit later on, because I'm going to be actually adding a chassis wrap to this, a green chassis wrap, which I want to show you guys. So that's why I'm going to stop at the stage that I'm at. But hopefully that's been helpful for you guys. Just remember the problems that I had with the bits that weren't included with this Interg setup. Alright, thanks for watching guys. Please subscribe, hit that notification button, and check out my previous videos.